I know this is going to sound kind of extreme and dramatic, but do you hate your job? If you would say, gosh, I really cannot stand this level of anxiety and dread and just the feelings that I have, when I think about, coming back to work after the weekend or a little bit of a break away or just how I'm constantly feeling about the work. If that's the case for you, you are going to want to stick around for today's video because we're going to dive into kind of one big thing that can really address bringing you from that very dramatic statement of, I hate my job, to a real transition to enjoying it. Hi, I'm Jeanette, the North End Coach. I'm so glad that you've joined me here today because I know that this is really important information to have, especially if you would categorize yourself in that position of really extreme dissatisfaction with where you are at this time. So, I have made my career coaching focus one of career transition and specialized in people who are mid-career and later. So people who are 40s, 50s, even 60s, think about, what's coming next. And I think the clarification that's important here is what's coming next doesn't necessarily always mean what's the big change that's coming next. It could be that, and it certainly is for some people, a real change to a different kind of a career than they've had in the past, a different job in a different organization, could be another spot along the spectrum. But for some clients, it also can mean just returning to a sense of enjoyment and satisfaction in the present circumstances. And that may feel like, how can that even be possible? If you're describing yourself as currently hating your job, which is such a dramatic statement, how could it be possible to move from that position to one of enjoyment? And I assure you, it is possible. Now, not in all circumstances would you decide that's what you want to do. There may be some other drivers that are causing you to really want to make a change. Maybe you've been thinking about doing something different for a long time. More power to you. This is a great time to make a transition of that sort. And there are just some smaller transitions that can be made in the present circumstance. And the real key that I want to share with you today that makes that possible is the idea that instead of sitting with our current understanding of our circumstances and taking that sort of at face value, yeah, I've done all these things. I know, generally what my sense of values are, what my purpose is in the organization, how I get my satisfaction. But if we can actually step back from that and say, let's look at that with some fresh eyes. Let's look at the kind of digging in, getting our hands dirty in really understanding what circumstances we're working with and what some of our desires are for moving forward. That process can bring about so much insight and discoveries that can change how you're actually perceiving the current circumstances and open the doors to some, shall we say, out of the box thinking around solutions that can bring that level of enjoyment back, even to those circumstances where you feel like you are hating your job. So, behind the scenes, how is that happening? Like, for instance, when I'm working with my coaching clients, what is the actual scaffolding, if you want to describe it? Like, what's the structure beneath that discovery process? Well, it's I like to utilize a framework. It's a framework that is not career specific. It's actually a framework that looks at a person's relationship to, insert a particular goal that they're going after. Now, when I'm working with a coaching client in the career space, we're going to be inserting a set of goals around, career specific things. So in the instance of somebody who is describing themselves as hating their job, they might have a goal that is something along the lines of, I want to explore career possibilities to, make a change in this current role so that I'm happier in it, or look at what other possibilities are out there. Then we'll examine that particular set of goals and walk through the different framework levels of a coaching or a change model that is really the logical levels of change. So we start at probably maybe the most apparent level. So the environment level would be the place to start. So, what is it about the current environment that is causing you to have, and then insert the goal? And to this question, we're getting answers around, things from the physical environment, the people that you're working with, the the way that you're doing the work. All of those things fit into this wide category of environment. And there's a surprising number of insights that come out of even that very simple level of environment. Then we move on to a second question. What is it really future oriented about the environment that you're looking for? So already from this first exploration of this question around environment as it pertains to the particular coaching question, or career coaching question, the goal, we get all sorts of nuggets of insight about, okay, well, that's interesting. So, you are in an environment where, you are very distracted you're sitting in an open office area and you're very distracted by the people that are working around you. And you need to do, high focus work. So that's driving you crazy. Okay. Well, there's something that we know. So we probably know that in a future state, that's a change that you're going to want to be making. Or that could be a change, not about a big transition, but something that could change about the current circumstances, that with this just small minor change, actually things could be a lot more significant. And that's the way that, we just start to discover how can we find that enjoyment back in the position. So we're looking at environment as a level, fully exploring that, then taking a look at capabilities as a next level. So we actually, in the exploration of these logical levels of change, this framework, we're working our way down through 7 different levels, really digging for, what are some of the particular points out of each of them, but then what do we notice as an overall pattern? And then from that process, we will go to what is called a SWOT analysis. So you may be familiar with having done SWOT analysis, maybe if you're a team leader or you're a part of a team and you're figuring out, what's the strategy for my team or my department or the organization, developing the strategic vision for that. In this process of, using a SWOT analysis with an individual client, we're of course looking at it from an individual strategic perspective. So what are the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that are playing out here that we can work with, the data that we've pulled through from the analysis of the logical levels of change framework, and additional information that we can pull into actually that SWOT exercise that then delivers the strategic plan, the individual strategic plan of how we move forward in career. Of course, there's all sorts of additional pieces, but those particular parts both can inform a big transition, but also form the basics of being able to look at the current circumstance and then determine, oh, okay, well, if I can just do 1, 2, and 3, make these sorts of changes happen, there's a whole lot more possibility that I can find enjoyment and excitement for the current position that I previously described as hating. So that's the real secret to this process, is that introspective um, process of really digging through that. Now, you can go through that process, of course, and do that work for yourself, and I highly recommend that. And it's very helpful to have an external person who is really a neutral and informed coach to help you through that process. If that's of interest to you, even just thinking about, kind of what are the basic formations of, kind of a strategic perspective for moving forward, I would invite you to join me in a one-on-one conversation. I'm happy to offer, a 45-minute complimentary session to really talk about your circumstances and how you would move forward. If that's of interest to you, I do have a link to schedule, and I'll put that in the description box so that we can get together and really explore that on a one-on-one basis. So thank you for joining me here today. I will be back in a couple more days with some more career content for you. And in the meantime, do take care. Talk soon.